Hey, this is Jason Rude with Remax Precision. Today I'm going to talk about one way of looking at your down payment as a first-time home buyer. I've been in the real estate industry for about 12 years now, and I've helped hundreds of first-time home buyers purchase their home. I've been very privileged to see my clients buy their first home, and then help them sell, and then ultimately find their forever home. So it's been a lot of fun to see. One thing that I talk about with a lot of my first-time home buyers is how do you look at your down payment on your first house. This is what I view it as, and this is kind of a simple way of thinking about it. When you're a first-time home buyer buying a home, you want to buy the right house, then you also want to then create momentum for long term. Most people, when you buy your first house, you're not going to be there forever. The average home buyers in their house 4 to 6 years, and so it's important to just buy a house that you can be in for at least 4 to 6 years and that you don't outgrow it. So as a lender, most lenders, the minimum down payment is 3% down. So here's a way that I look at your down payment, and this is how it's affected Central Iowa with appreciation and so on and so forth. So 4 to 5 years ago, if you bought a house for $200,000 and you did 3% down, that means you put $6,000 down when you bought the house. Well, the hope is when you isolate that money, that you hope that will grow so you can roll that into your next house. So if you bought a house for $200,000 4 years ago, it's probably worth about $240,000 right now in today's market. So that $6,000 down that you bought grew, and you bought for $200,000, and then it's grown to $240,000. So all of a sudden, you increased that amount of money from to $40,000. So when you turn around and sell your property, there's going to be some fees associated with it. Let's say there's going to be $10,000, or let's say there's going to be $15,000 of fees associated with it. So your house appreciated from $200,000 to $240,000. Then there'll be $15,000 of fees when you sell it, so it goes to $25,000. Then you had your $6,000 that you initially put down. Then that amount of money went to $31,000. Then you can roll that into your next house that you'll probably be in much longer. So one thing I look about your initial down payment is almost like an isolated savings account for your house down payment account. And so you want it to grow. And a lot of times that can grow a lot faster when you own a house, so to speak, than if you just keep renting. And so that's one thing to look at it. You just want that to keep growing, and then hopefully you ultimately find your forever home. So kind of to be, my last point is, it's like if you bought a house, you did $6,000 down, a few years later you sell it, and then that grew from $6,000 to $31,000. Then you're in the house forever, so to speak, the next 30 years until you pass away. Then hopefully, when you're in your late 60s, early 70s, all paid off, and then your house will be 100% paid off, and then you can then you don't really assume the joy of all the money because you need a place to live, but you can pass that money down to your family when you die. So kind of be morbid is go from 6, increase it to 25. You're in your house forever. Say you buy a house for $400,000. Well, 30 years later, probably worth $600,000. And then you pass away, and then your family then can enjoy that initial investment. So I know it's a little bit morbid, but that's one way to look at it. You just want to grow that down payment from $6,000 on. So that's one way to look at it. It's your savings account for your down payment long term for your house. So hope that makes a little bit of sense. I know it's a little bit long-winded, but that's one way to look at it as a home buyer.